welcome to Joyful Wellness Coaching topic session. Over the course of the next few weeks or so, I'm going to be discussing a topic that are common things that come up with clients that I have, people that I talk to, and just common things that come up with all of us, especially as women. And so today's topic, as you can see by the title, is imposter syndrome. And so a lot of times, a lot of us feel like we deal with imposter syndrome and doubt. And so I'm just going to jump right into it and kind of discuss what it is, where doubt comes from, and how to kind of combat that, and what doubt kind of tells us, right? I have some notes, so I'll be kind of be looking back and forth between my notes, but feel free to share your thoughts down below in the comments. I love to hear like what you've experienced, how you've dealt with it yourself, as well, and anything else that you would like to know or share down below. And feel free to like, comment, and subscribe as I'll be sharing more videos throughout the coming weeks. And huge, I also want to say happy Black History Month. I literally was thinking about it as I was talking. So happy Black History Month. It's a beautiful month. If you are Black, you are a part of Black history. So never forget that, okay? And I got my little sidekick right here. All right, leave it alone. You get her love. All right. In this context, what is doubt? I like to think of doubt. So in this context, what is doubt? In relation to imposter syndrome, doubt shows up as a distrust of self. It's a distrust of ourselves in some way. So, for example, a lot of women that I meet will feel like they're an imposter when it comes to a new role that they would like to go out for, or they've been selected for, or when it comes to like typically when it comes to career or something along those lines. That's something that they're wanting to do, right? And I feel like that's something that, we all can relate to. I can relate to it as well, especially when you're starting something new or dipping your toes into something that you haven't done before. You can have doubt, or you can feel like you are an imposter because it's something new. But I don't think that that's the right term to use when it comes to it, because it's something new. Also, sometimes you can feel doubt or have like this imposter syndrome with something that you are well versed in, right? Simply because it feels like you are stacked against these impossible standards, when in reality, the people that you're stacked against don't even have half of the qualifications that you have. And yet, their projections or whatever the case may be can make you feel as though you aren't enough. And so doubt creeps in, and you can feel as though you're not worthy or your qualifications aren't enough, when in actuality they're above and beyond. And so I think what I'm seeing with women is that a lot of women are seeking to take their voices and take their power back, right? We see a lot of women recognizing how they really are that girl, or they are the ish, that woman. They really have what it takes to do what it is that they need to do, more so than, ever before. And I love it. Absolutely love it. And so, like, I'll give you an example. And I also want to say this is that, like, oftentimes when we feel this doubt or this imposter syndrome, a lot of the times in my work as a mindset coach, what I see is that when you speak these things and you perpetuate these things to yourself, your mind doesn't know the difference between um, thought, right? So, whatever it is that you are feeding yourself, you're going to absorb that and you will believe it. For example, you may have a goal, right, of where you're wanting to get in, and I like to use this example because it's a common example that I've heard so many times, and so let's say you have a particular goal in mind to fit a dress, right, for an event, and you're hyper focused on this specific goal because you want to look this specific way for this specific event because this specific number that you have in mind is, it's just, that is going to just ultimately like make you feel like the best ever, right? And so you have this goal in mind, right? And so you're like, okay, I have this plan. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do A, B, and C. And so you have a plan. You're executing your plan, and you have a few failures along the way. You begin to doubt yourself. You begin to feel like an imposter. You begin to be like, you know what? I don't think I can do this. Like, and then you begin to completely fall off, right? So instead of continuing to keep trying or revise your plan a little bit to make your goals a little bit more achievable, you instead internalize your failures and your doubt, which ultimately ends up um, which ultimately ends up um, stopping you from achieving your goal at all, right? Because because your mind completely decided to go the opposite direction from what it is that you originally wanted to do, right? And so that is how imposter syndrome and doubt can really become detrimental, right, in your life. It all kind of comes back to what is your mindset. And so you begin, and so I've seen this in ways where instead of realizing that, okay, I'm human, okay, I will have days where I just don't feel like it, which is okay. um, there are times where I'm going to need to modify my plan. Um, being strict doesn't produce results the way that we think that they do, and all these other factors, right? And thinking about how all these other factors play a role. So when you decide to shift your mindset around your perception of what failure is and what doubt is and what in like what failure is, what doubt is in reaching your goals, this allows you to actually reach your goals a lot faster. So going back to the example of wanting to reach a certain number or fit in a certain dress, what it does is it takes the pressure off of that goal and allows you to achieve that goal a lot better, more consistently and sustainably when you um, when you loosen the rigidity and allow yourself to fail, to fail. And I put that in quotes because um, I don't really see them as failures. I see them as, I feel like a failure would be if you just completely decided to quit. I feel like quitting, that's a real failure, right? And this is just my opinion, and this is just what I've seen with the women that I've worked with. And so, even with some of the clients that I've worked with, um, I've seen how we've had to go back to the drawing board when it comes to their own doubt of reaching a goal that they have wanted to achieve with our work together, and how they may have had a goal that they had in mind in a way that they wanted to achieve it. But as we work together and they refine their goal, which is it's always the same goal, but once you realize how there are different ways to get to the same goal within the same time period, really, or less, or a little bit more, either way, you're going to get to the same goal, just allowing yourself a little bit more freedom and doing it in a way that actually resonates with you and um, doesn't allow so much pressure. It's almost as if you you still hold yourself accountable, but without being so rigid and being so demanding on yourself, which you begin to realize that you actually have more fun achieving your goals when you don't put so much pressure on yourself. And I think as women, we tend to put so much pressure on ourselves and realize how much of the fun we are sucking out of our lives and out of our goals when we do put so much pressure on ourselves. And so, why do I think doubt is important? And I'll touch on this like really, really briefly because I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in the next video. And I think so often we try to write off our negative feelings, like negative feelings, because I think all feelings are valid, right? But I think what it is that our feelings allow us to see different things from a different viewpoint, regardless of how we feel about them, right? So whether it's happiness, sadness, anger, laughter, like whatever it is, like sadness, happiness, anger, joy, whatever the case may be, the feelings that we feel are all indicators. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily go off what that feeling is, but what it does is it gives you an indication of what it is that maybe in your orbit or maybe circling around you that needs to be addressed from within or outside of you. And so in the realm of doubt, doubt can kind of show you, okay, is there some type of distrust within my own willingness to accomplish my goals? Is there fear around something? Or is doubt coming from somewhere else? Is the doubt or the distrust coming from inside of myself? Is there distrust coming from outside of myself? And this indicator will kind of like let you know, okay, where do I need to place my focus? I had I had a client who had some doubts around her business and whether she should go all in into her business. And so, um, what came up within our time together was there was what really was there was a distrust within herself that was showing up. It wasn't anything outside of her, it was a distrust within herself, which there were other factors, of course, but the main distrust lied within herself. And so that is something that you have to be willing to confront or face is where is the distrust coming from? And so one of the things that I find very important when it comes to anything, and in this case, combating that doubt or that distrust, is slowing down to speed up. So, slowing down to speed up means that you're willing to take a step back um, to allow forward movement. And sometimes that means just pausing. Sometimes that means just taking a moment with yourself to really discover, like, okay, where is this distrust or this doubt coming from? And a good question to ask yourself is simply that: where is this doubt coming from? It can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to necessarily be difficult. You can go deeper if you like. Um, I love mindfulness and things like that because it allows you to be present. It allows you to slow down a little bit and just pause so that you can take a moment to kind of step outside of yourself and your current feeling to really understand like where it is coming from before you do anything. Um, and so I know we live in a world where everything is so fast, 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 especially now it's in this digital age. But I think it's so important to allow yourself a moment to just slow down and assess where you are before, making another move. And so the example of, I go back to the example of the goal of wanting to go down to a particular size and fit in a specific dress. And the doubt that may come up when you're not seeing results or seeing the number go down or your body shape into the way that you may want it to. I encourage you to take a pause and number one, you could ask yourself, okay, where is the pressure of wanting to be this size and that number coming from first? Okay, is it coming from an external pressure? Is it coming from a past like size? Is it coming like where is that coming from? You know? And it's okay wanting to be that size, but understanding where the intention is coming from is super important. And then because and this is why I say that it's important is because just with this specific goal or any goal, and if this is leading off topic, it's okay. But I come back to this example because when you are understanding where doubt or where imposter syndrome is coming from, just within that example of wanting to get to that size 6 dress, for example, for that event, that you have. Understanding the intention behind why will give you an insight into where that doubt and that imposter syndrome is kind of coming from in the first place. And so yeah, I hope that I hope you guys enjoyed this topic. The next video is going to be about being unapologetically yourself. Thank you for watching, and I will see y'all next week. Namaste.